So if you're doing land development and you're buying a parcel, subdividing it, and putting in lots to either build on yourself or to sell to builders, how do you know how much the hard cost on the lots are going to be? How much, how do you know how much it costs to put the improvements in? The curb and gutter, the utilities, all of the things you see behind me here. How do you know what those costs are going to be? So the best way to determine that is to contact some land development contractors, some site improvement contractors in the area. Generally, you're going to be able to look at other developments that are going on and see a sign of who those companies are that do the site improvements. And of course, costs are going to vary depending on the site, the topography, the subsurface conditions, location of the utilities, the things that need to be done. There's a lot of factors, a lot of variables that go into the cost. So generally, you're going to need to be able to give that site contractor the location of your property, and they can give you an idea of the current projects they're working on and what the average cost per lot is going to be. And the more lots that you have will affect that cost and the more work you have to do. So there really is no rule of thumb. There's no set number that you can use. You got to call the contractors in your area and get estimates from them. And of course, if you have complete plans with engineering and things like that, you can get hard bids. But they can tell you based on what you're looking to do, what their average costs have run. Now, there used to be a rule of thumb that you could use back when you're doing larger developments, larger subdivisions in terms of general cost per lot, but construction costs have been all over the map here in the last couple of years, so it's really difficult to know. And that can vary depending on what you're doing. If it's just vacant lots, raw land, and it depends on the type of development you're doing, whether or not you're putting in curb and gutter, street lights, what type of utility improvements are you putting in? Is it water and sewer? Is it well and septic? So the costs are all over the map depending on those variables. So the best thing to do is to know what improvements you're going to have to do. Are you putting in curb and gutter? Are you putting in sewer? Are you putting in water? What type of other utilities do you have to run for each of the lots? Or is it just going to be well and septic and all you need is basically asphalt for the road and no curb and gutter? Those are the things you're going to need to know, but the only way to find out, the only way to know for sure is to contact site improvement contractors, utility contractors, site work contractors in your area, and get some cost estimates from them. There are companies that do the whole thing turnkey, and then you can farm it out if you want to and get the grading contractor separately from the utility contractor, separately from the paving contractor, and you can get estimated costs for the individual phases of the project from them. But that's really the only way you're going to know. You can't really use any rules of thumb like we used to use back in previous years, because material costs, labor costs have gone up exponentially in the last, right now as I'm filming this, it's 2021. So over the last 3 years, and more specifically the last 2 years, costs have gone up exponentially for labor and materials because of the pandemic, things like that. So depending on when you're watching this, any numbers I give you today would not be sufficient and adequate. You have to get numbers, just like anything. If you want to build spec houses, if you want to build commercial, you got to get numbers from the contractors doing the work, because their costs vary depending on supply chain constraints, labor constraints, things like that, regulatory environment, permit costs, all those types of things. So no easy way to do it. You just need to get the numbers directly from them, and it can vary whether you're doing residential, commercial, and what type of improvements you have to bring to the property, stormwater, things like that. A lot of considerations, a lot of issues to take into consideration, but that's the best way to do it.